Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning. Today I'm taking a look at Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Washington football team and going over what to expect from Fitzmagic in the upcoming 2021 season. Before getting that topic, question for those of you, and I want to hear from you guys. How many touchdowns do you expect Fitzpatrick to throw in the upcoming year? Comment down below, and I'll give my answer at the end. Getting straight into it though, looking at Fitzpatrick, if you're not a Washington fan, I've said this in several other videos, but how do you not like Fitzmagic? He's a guy you always root for and you always want to do good. As long as he's not playing for my team, if it's in any given Sunday, I'm going to be rooting for Fitzpatrick. He's just that type of a likable dude in the NFL. So I do want to see him do good this year. And I do think this is the best team he's ever been on. Last year, for reference though, with Miami only playing right around 7 games, he did go 4-3. He had 2,000 yards, roughly 2,100 to be more precise, 13 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Not the prettiest ratio, but that's what Fitzpatrick is. That's the only reference I'm going to give you because I think it's a complete different situation because this is the best team Fitzpatrick's been on. It's either been this team with Washington, last year's Miami team who went 10-6, or when he was in the Jets at 2015, I think, when they went to 10-16 and only almost made the playoffs. So I do think I want to give last year as the best reference for how he's looking because that's the most recent and that is a similar talent to who he will be with this year. I do think Fitzpatrick, this is the best team personally. The offensive line, it's not the best in the league, but I do think it's one of the better ones in the league. You know, it's not probably the healthy Packers offensive line or a Niners or a Saints, but I do think it's definitely one of the better ones. Again, backfield, I like that. Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick. Gibson, I think, is a special talent. I do think he could break the top 12, top 10 running back list. Just last year, he wasn't really handed the baton as the number one guy. When he eventually was, he got injured. So this year 2, I do have big expectations for him. I do think he will be pretty good. Receiving core, Scary Terry, Terry McLaurin, probably a top 15 receiver, arguably. Curtis Samuel, his buddy, he was brought in, a pretty good wide receiver, number 2, option 2 for him. De'Ami Brown, a 3rd round pick for at wide receiver for him. And Logan Thomas, he's, it's not the easiest transition from going from QB to tight end, but I do think Logan Thomas will have his best season yet. So Fitzpatrick, I'm hoping with the better offensive line and some safety blankets of Antonio Gibson out of the backfield and a pretty good and up-and-coming tight end. I'm not going to act like Logan Thomas is a Gronk, but I do think he will probably have his best year yet, just given this is probably going to be one of the better QBs he's had and one of the better systems he's going to be in. Along with Ron Rivera, I do think Fitzpatrick is going to be on pace to have his best year. Looking at the defense, I know they won't be catching footballs from Fitzpatrick, but they do affect him and his game. Do they help control the pace, control the clock, manage the game time? And I think they do. Washington's got a top 5 defense with the upside of being the best. They have arguably the best front 4 between Montez Sweat, Chase Young, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen. I've already predicted Sweat and Chase to each get 10+ sacks this year in 17 games. I think that's very possible. Jamin Davis to come help fix up the linebacker core. The secondary's got Kendall Fuller. They brought in William Jackson, Cameron Curl, Bobby McCain, who they brought in from Miami, just like Fitzpatrick was brought in, Landon Collins. Pretty good defense. I mean, you can't really complain about it. Top 5, you could be really nitpicky if you wanted. My only nitpick, if I was forced to be a critic, would be that they're young. There's a lot of chemistry to be learned. There's a lot of experience to be earned. That would be my only holdback. Is that Chase Young's only going to be on year 2. Montez was probably only going to be, I think, year 3. That would be my only knock. But defense, like I said, it's top 5, and they are going to help control the game and help Fitzpatrick out. My prediction for Fitzpatrick, it's hard because we all know some games he has 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and then the very next week he'll have 200 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and you lost. I don't like that variable-like gameplay. I would like a steady pace of, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. I'd rather that than the super highs and lows. I'd rather a stagnant, flat line type of play. That's what I'm hoping Washington can do. Ron Rivera is one of the better coach Fitz has had. Brian Flores, no knock to him. I think they're pretty similar to the same level of coaching talent. But I just think with the amount of weapons and the great defense to rely on, they can help tell him, look, I want you to be yourself, but we also want to win football games. We don't care what your numbers look like. We don't need you to carry us. Just don't drag us down. The defense can do the rest. I've made this comparison time and time again. I truly believe what Peyton Manning and the Broncos did in 2015, Fitzpatrick and Washington can do in 2021. Not comparing Fitzpatrick and Peyton Manning, as their whole legacies, they're not the same in the slightest. But in that specific pinpoint year, 2015, Peyton Manning was a bad quarterback. He was throwing ducks, but he got carried by in a fantastic defense. The number one defense in the league. Von Miller, Shaq Barrett, DeMarcus Ware, Chris Harris Jr., Khalid Talib. Washington, I'm not saying they got those many Hall of Famers like this team does, but who's to say they don't? And Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Montez Sweat, Chase Young. Those are 4 first-round picks. Jamin Davis could captain the defense immediately. Kendall Fuller, William Jackson, Landon Collins, Cameron Curl, Bobby McCain. I'm just saying it's possible, and you got Fitzpatrick, who's not like Peyton Manning as a whole, but he could be a guy like Peyton Manning in 2015 that just, he doesn't carry the team by any means. He's actually holding them back a little bit, but he's not dragging them down and making them lose games. He could get the job done. His experience, his knowledge, his wisdom, he can get the job done. He can manage the game. Game manager is kind of this negative label for quarterbacks, but there are certain teams where they just need a game manager and they could go far, and Washington is one of them. I'm hoping Ron Rivera and them can help him flatline his gameplay to where they could get into a 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. That's going to be tough. Or I would like to say a 3-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. That would be the goal, but that is just so not Fitzpatrick. I don't know if I can bet on that. I would say if he starts all 17 games, he's good for plus 4,000 yards. Rid of 2,000 yards last year, but that was only 7 games. So I'd definitely say my stat prediction, if I was forced to pick some for 2021, what do I expect from him? I would say in 17 games, assuming he starts the full season, I'd say plus 4,100 yards. I think he's just got that type of arm. I'd say, let's just say 4,000 to be a little more safe. Touchdowns, I'd say anywhere between 30 and 35 would be about right. Interceptions, if they could get just 30 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, that would win the division, I think, by a landslide in my opinion. And that is a benefit to this team. You're in the NFC East. But if they could get a 3-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, 30 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, that would be ideal. But realistically, I'm thinking 30 to 35 touchdowns with 15 to 20 picks. I know that sounds like a lot, but that's who Fitz is. If they could even get the 2-to-1, 30 touchdowns, 15 picks, I think they'll still be looking pretty. That's enough arm and enough talent to put up some points, but they have enough defense to hold the other teams back. So again, I'm assuming Washington will have an above 500 record this year. I'm predicting 9-8 to 11-6. I think they got some talent, so I think his record will go up from 4-3 last year to 9-8 to 11-6 this year, moving Washington's record from 7-9 last year to, again, 9-8 to 11-6 this year. I think we'll have plus, I'll be confident, I'll say plus 4,100 yards, 30 to 35 touchdowns, and 15 to 20 picks. Feels about right for Fitzpatrick. I'm hoping Rivera can cut down the picks for him, and if he can, this team can go far, and I do think they have a very high ceiling. I don't think they're a Super Bowl favorite, but they certainly are not a team I want to play in the playoffs. They can make some noise. When you got a top 5 defense, I gave the Bucs the Super Bowl champs trouble last year. They're only going to be better this year, and therefore, that's not a team I want to play in the playoffs, and they could make a Super Bowl run. Not saying they are or will, but I don't think it's as impossible as many people think. You guys tell me though, do you agree or disagree? I'm pretty confident, but we'll just see you referring back to the question of the video. How many touchdowns you got for Fitz? I didn't need you to give me an exact number if I expect him to throw 33 or 29 or 48, whatever it is, but my range was 30 to 35, and I feel relatively confident in that. We'll just have to see how it plays out though. Weaker division, amazing defense, best team he's been on yet. I feel like the sky's the limit for Fitzpatrick and this Washington this year. We'll just have to see as always. And of course, guys, thank you for watching. 2-minute warning.